So this is where on the one side we have this area of doing, achieving, going into action. And the other part is everything is good as it is. There is nothing to achieve. I am self-fulfilled. I'm self-satisfied. I am being. So we have being and we have doing. And this is for me literally, how do I find this balance between being and doing? The result of this is you run after things, you achieve it. But instead of even holding on a moment and enjoy your achievement, be proud of you, of what you have achieved. Remain a moment in this feeling of, yes, it feels good. The problem is that we already put the next goal and start running again. So one is just leading to the fact of you never stand still. You don't find your peace. There is no peace. And the other thing is you have peace, but you have no progress. Try to, at all moments, immerse myself as much as I can in the present moment. That's what it is. Live in the here and now. How you do this? To live in the here and now. Stop jumping into the past and stop jumping into the future. Then you live in the here and now. But you must practice it. And literally meaning how you do it, make yourself empty. Because the only thing that fills your mind with past and future is your thoughts. The mind. If I wished that I would have lived this life and I just have joyful and pleasant moments. No regret, no sorrow, no fear, nothing of that. The reality is not like that. The reality is that every human being at some point is facing all of this. But I used to think I would never arrive or be at the place where I am right now without all the things that happened in the past. Because at some point, the sorrow or even the regrets, they have been so painful in a way that I was left only with two choices. Number one, you learn from what went wrong. And number two is a very hard part. It's the part of learning to let go by forgiving. Forgiving two areas. In case somebody is involved, you forgive the one that is involved, but foremost, you forgive this one. We always think about how should we forgive like other people, which is already very hard, but it's even harder to sometimes forgive yourself. But you can't move into the future. You cannot move on if you still carry old baggage inside of you. And this is where I feel like it must be learned. Maybe people take it as normal to live a life and keep regret and keep frustration and keep all these things inside of them and not heal it, not let it out, not express it, not learn a way to get rid of it. Yeah, but at the same time, I also believe this is the reason why people suffer from so many different types of diseases at the same time. Because there is some type of, I call it now in my terminology, there is energy locked inside of you that wants to be expressed, yeah, but you suppress it. And this is why it has to find a way to make itself heard, which can be a sickness, which can be cancer, which can be all type of mental diseases that nowadays I think this society has a lot of it. That is the letting go part. There is energy locked inside of you that wants to be expressed, yeah, but you suppress it. And this is why it has to find a way to make itself heard, maybe people take it as normal to live a life and keep regret and keep frustration and keep all these things inside of them and not heal it, not let it out, not express it, not learn a way to get rid of it. Yeah, but at the same time, I also believe this is the reason why people suffer from so many different types of diseases at the same time. If your life is fine, then most probably you also don't have questions. But I do believe either the longer you live this life or the more you start observing the patterns of this life, at some point, questions will come up. And if a person doesn't ask the question, he also cannot receive the answer. I would consider myself also belonging to the category of like achieving and doing and being a workaholic and controlling things and overachieving. But at some point, after achieving many of these different areas, I still was left there with the question, was that it? Was that now the sense of my life? I felt like it was like not enough. I was missing out on something because it was just too simple. It was too shallow for me. I couldn't imagine that like attaining degrees or attaining whatever you like material-wise are looking for, that this is going to be the purpose of your life. So going to work every day in order just to buy something that eventually you come to the conclusion you won't take it with you anyway. We came without it and we're going to go without it. So what is literally the sense of all of this? I do think it is a personal journey, but slowly I start to understand just more and more things by just observing what I'm all the time surrounded with. And what is it? It is pattern. On the one side, everybody, what is it we truly feel like wanting? Freedom, not being restricted. I want to be free. Freedom on the one side, but then what is it that is not granting you freedom? The opposite, I would say, it is structure and pattern. Because if there is a structure, if there is a pattern, it means you do not have the freedom to decide what you want to do. So it sounds like at the moment that freedom is on the one side and pattern and structure is on the other side. Now the fact is like this. Like I just said before, in regards to the body and in regards to the mind. Our body already is following a certain pattern, own biological pattern. Our mind and therefore also our behavior is following certain patterns. Talking about this pattern also meaning, just look at a very simple pattern that also appears in all of our lives and probably in the lives of our children. There comes the point they start to want something. It could have been at some point we wanted to have the first mobile phone that came out at the time where mobile phones are just not existing yet. And so the first Nokia came out. We wanted to have it. After some time, we got it. But then came the next development, the smartphone. We wanted to have it and we got it. And no matter what it is, there is always something that we want. We're gonna get it if we work hard enough for it. But then something always the same starts to hit in. Whatever was there that you wanted, at some point, after a day, after a week, after a month, it was forgotten. It didn't play a role even anymore in your life, especially if it is some type of material attainment. So the question is, should I spend my whole life now just following this pattern? Working for something that I put in my mind that I want, achieving it, and then realizing at some point, lifetime is gone, and the pleasure and the enjoyment of what I try to attain there actually isn't also really sustainable. And already this type of pattern, to observe it, can break a cycle. It can break the cycle of you or anyone running after things unconsciously because you are caught inside a pattern, which at some point is just very, very senseless. When you yourself are caught in the pattern and you are being identified by this pattern, you cannot escape it. If you are identified with this pattern, you cannot escape it. So this is now where it helps this ancient saying before, you are not the body and you are not the mind. So even if you just take this as a concept right now, then it means from time to time, try to just, let's say, jump out of yourself and just observe yourself. Just imagine it is a movie. This is the movie character. And I'm jumping out and I'm watching the movie of this one. And from this perspective, suddenly, I see something differently. I can see it from a wider perspective because I'm not caught inside my own patterns anymore, but suddenly I begin to see the patterns of this character. Whether you believe in this now or not, it's just about a mind experiment. Just use it as a game if you like. Just go out and watch yourself. Watch your life unfolding. And then this is the beginning where you actually see patterns, where you see behavior that is repeating. Well, some patterns are useful, some patterns are not useful. And step by step, so number one is becoming aware, first of all. What type of patterns are you able to realize and see inside your own life? I think this is where it starts. The awareness and ability to observe yourself. And there you see the awareness to observe yourself, awareness, mindfulness, and be conscious about yourself. This is why meditation practice, for what? To become more aware. Mindfulness practices, why? To become mindful, to become conscious, because this is the beginning in order to break the cycle of this conditioned being, of the conditioned identity. People may be also confused. I'm saying don't have goals and don't work for something you really wish for. I didn't say that because I still do it. I do have visions and I do have wishes sometimes. But those are very conscious wishes meanwhile. So literally, when my mind is flooded with so many possibilities, I just have become more conscious in really deciding in what do I really want to invest my lifetime. Is it worth it to attain it that I'm working for right now? And if I still come to the conclusion, yes, even though this lifetime is limited, but to experience whatever it is, yes, it's worth it, I'm gonna go for it. Well, then do it. The only thing I try to really prevent people from doing is unconsciously following structures and patterns and cycles in the imagination. It's gonna give them something that they are longing for, but it won't. Why would I in the first place go into action at all? So why would I go into doing something? Because apparently something is lacking. Why would I set a goal? Because I assume that when I reach the goal, it's going to give me something that in the moment where I'm setting the goal, I don't have. So this is why doing or going into action or achieving something comes into play. Why would I need to achieve something if in this very moment I don't feel like I'm missing anything, that there needs something to be achieved? So this is where on the one side we have this area of doing, achieving, going into action. And the other part is, everything is good as it is. There is nothing to achieve. I am self-fulfilled. I'm self-satisfied. I am being. So we have being and we have doing. And this is for me literally, how do I find this balance between being and doing? Because now, of course, some people say, yeah, if all the time I would be just satisfied with being, well, then nothing would be done in this world in a way. Nothing would happen. So how do I feed my children? How do I pay my bills? So, of course, it is not realistic to just stay in this state of being. But at the same time, if you constantly doing and go into action, the result of this is what we described before. You run after things, you achieve it. But instead of even holding on a moment and enjoy your achievement, be proud of you of what you have achieved, remain a moment in this feeling of, yes, it feels good. The problem is that we already put the next goal and start running again. So one is just leading to the fact of you never stand still. You don't find your peace. There is no peace. And the other thing is you have peace, but you have no progress. And this is something that we as humans, it's very natural to balance out exactly those two areas and be very aware. You are not supposed to do nothing, but you are also not supposed to run and run and run and never arrive. Both of them are like pointless. And I do think this is the balance. If I wished that I would have lived this life and I just have joyful and pleasant moments, no regret, no sorrow, no fear, nothing of that. The reality is not like that. The reality is that every human being at some point is facing all of this. But I used to think I would never arrive or be at the place where I am right now without all the things that happened in the past. Because at some point, the sorrow or even the regrets, they have been so painful in a way that I was left only with two choices. Number one, you learned from what went wrong. And number two is a very hard part. It's the part of learning to let go by forgiving. Forgiving two areas. In case somebody is involved, you forgive the one that is involved, but foremost, you forgive this one. We always think about how should we forgive like other people, which is already very hard. But it's even harder to sometimes forgive yourself. But you can't move into the future. You cannot move on if you still carry old baggage inside of you. And this is where I feel like it must be learned. Maybe people take it as normal to live a life and keep regret and keep frustration and keep all these things inside of them and not heal it, not let it out, not express it, not learn a way to get rid of it. Yeah, but at the same time, I also believe this is the reason why people suffer from so many different types of diseases at the same time. Because there is some type of, I call it now in my terminology, there is energy locked inside of you that wants to be expressed, but you suppress it. And this is why it has to find a way to make itself heard, which can be a sickness, which can be cancer, which can be all type of mental diseases that nowadays I think this society has a lot of it. That is the letting go part. progress, meaning setting goals, achieving something, doing something. The quickest way to not waste lifetime is when you really set up a schedule and just do the work. Free from how you feel. Because also feelings sometimes, you wake up one day, you feel this way, you wake up the next day, you feel another way. And it's just not helpful to base your structure or your goal on how you feel. Discipline, meaning you stick to what you put there on paper. You take your time, you make the plan, and unless you really are sick or have some type of higher excuse, you just do what you have committed to. And this struggling of, there are still so many distractions every day coming up. No, but you stick to the plan. You stick to your plan. This is what I feel like is a part of discipline, to do what you have committed yourself to. It's the one area. And at the same time, discipline also meaning you don't do the things you already know are not good for you. Discipline is not just about the active part of doing something. It also relates to the passive part of leaving the things out of your life where you already know it's not going to help you. Both of these areas is, let's say, discipline. Focus for me is the ability to mobilize your energy. Energy maybe doesn't tell anything to the people. Your intention, your mind, your awareness. Let's say I need to do some type of work. I need to write an email. Simple. The quickest way, most accurate way to write this email is if you are completely with your awareness, you are focused in writing this email right now. You don't look at the mobile phone at the same time. You don't listen to music. You don't watch another television show on the screen. You don't eat something at the same time. Your focus is on that one task. Because your focus is on that one task, this is why everything that you are made out of can flow into whatever you are creating there. You don't do like the bench press and do something for the legs at the same time. It doesn't make sense. To mobilize energy means to know exactly where am I focusing my attention, and therefore where attention goes, there the energy flows. This is what focus means for me. If you want to create something, it's better to know where does your attention go. It's not that you are like walking this path and then you are like becoming superhuman or anything like this. It is very, very simple. You just become less compulsive and less reactive to whatever is going on in this world. Because this is where I felt like at some point, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be driven by what is going on out there in the world. I don't want to be driven by what is happening out there where I feel like I have no influence on. It can be the decision of the governments. It can be the decision of whatever is being propagated in this world, which is ultimately affecting me. And I just didn't feel like I want to be dependent on external circumstances. Because this just doesn't feel like my life is in my hands. How can it be that people around me, circumstances around me, that I literally have really no influence on? How can it be that all of this is influencing my life to such an extent that it makes me suffer, that it is frustrating me, that I feel depressed about it, that I feel angry about it, that I feel sad about it? At some point, I just felt like it's very unstable. And so I started to ask myself, how come that I cannot manage myself in a better way? And this is where now all this so-called inner work starts to take place, where the self-mastery takes place. You are not trying to solve the issues of your government. You are not trying to solve the problems of your neighbor. The first thing you try to solve is everything that is able to trigger you to not be at ease with how this life is. What is the ultimate outcome of starting to invest some time in yourself? I would say you are getting more at ease regardless of what is happening on the outside. It doesn't mean you are becoming more ignorant to it. That is also a misconception. It is just the fact that the world around you, everything is like still in turmoil and everything is still burning. But because you are at ease, because you have become more stable, at least in this burning surrounding, you can now still be the guide to help the people out of the house. Because if you lose your temper and if you are getting stressed when the house is burning, who's going to guide the way? And this is how I felt my life was also slowly developing, in the sense that if I really feel like I would like to contribute something to this world, to this society, then it can only be done if I'm already at ease and with peace inside of myself, that then I can carry out in the world. Mostly, I just try to encourage people, do something with your body. Just do something with your body. Whether it's Qigong, whether it's some stretching exercises, whether it's Kung Fu, whether it's Tai Chi. So it was something physical in the first place. But the whole idea was not only to make the people move. This was just like the beginning. But what we need is awareness. What we need is awareness. If you're already not aware of this body, it becomes even more difficult to be aware of what goes on in your mind. What type of traumas do you carry inside of you? If you're not even aware of your own body, something physical, something that you have every day in front of the mirror, how can you become aware of something that is so deeply rooted inside of you that you just can't even see it so easily? So the whole idea of emphasizing physicality, I would say, is the first step to begin the path of becoming aware. With this awareness now, the journey hasn't ended. The journey has just begun. Because it's this awareness now that we need to use and actually start now looking inside ourselves. Yeah. But exactly in the areas that for many years maybe were hidden there, consciously hidden, or sometimes unconsciously hidden, areas that we ran away from, that we hid it, that we somehow started to cover up because in the past they caused us too much pain, too much irritation. But I do think that at the same time that there is no other way to really clean yourself up than really looking at all the stuff that's hidden inside of you. I didn't want to say shit, but sometimes there's a lot of it. Yeah, and how do I know? Because I know, because I had to do it myself. So it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to, at some point, start to realize what type of stuff, dark stuff, negative stuff have you yourself, me, myself, done in this lifetime. But only after you really see it and you recognize that it was wrong. After you repent, then comes the freedom. I think that there are many ways how you can, let's say, motivate yourself to walk this path. So why would I face the dark side of myself knowing already that it's going to be painful? Why would I do that? So there are many ways. Me, from the area of the martial arts, I just know every time I suffered in the training, afterwards, something really good came out of it. Same as like every time you face a challenge that was really, really difficult for you, but you still pushed it through somehow. You still were patient and persevered and were consistent and still tried. And this type of challenge for me was a way bigger victory than anything that was easily attained. So literally saying, nothing sustainable and worthwhile in this lifetime comes from something that's easily attained. It's the same that you find plenty of videos right now, face your shadow, face the dark side, look at your demons. It's all that. I can only say that from the way of how I grew up, and after 38 years right now being on this way, yes, I do think that's the way. Be very aware who are you letting into your circle, and ultimately rely on yourself and maintain your, sorry to say, but it's the heart. Maintain the purity of your intention. It's not that I became numb. No, I just feel there is an additional layer that I can observe about myself. It is painful, but it's okay for right now. For me, I'm really, really happy uncertainty is existing in this world. Because I cannot imagine how boring it would be if I would already know with certainty where I'm going to be in 20 years. A certain amount of self-control, a certain amount of discipline. You don't let your emotions run over you. Even if something makes you angry, it's not honorable. It's not respectful to now shout out. You shouldn't do it. Be able to maintain your emotional states, maintain your temper at least to a certain extent. This is where I would say it comes to self-control. In the Shaolin traditional texts is broken down into 14 different virtues. The virtues of action. What does it mean, virtues of action? It is, how should you behave? Behave in a loyal way. Behave in a trustful way. Behave in a respectful way. Behave in a courageous way. This is the how should you do something. The virtues of mind, for example, they say, what is it that nourishes the way for you to put the virtues of action into practice? How can you learn to behave respectfully? Because naturally, if people like insulting you, you don't behave respectfully towards them. So how can you still behave respectfully, still be loyal to people? How do you do it? And this is where it then comes to the virtues of the mind. To really learn, to be patient, to really know what does it mean to be persistent, to persevere during your training.
If someone asked you which religion do you follow, what would your answer be?
I would call it the religion of oneness. The religion of oneness. The religion of, I do believe that we are connected at some way. And it is my journey. I don't want to just intellectualize it. The path is to lay out and remove all the friction and all the obstacles to just realize that it is like this. I'm not searching for happiness. I'm searching for peace. So my state of what I'm aiming for, I would say it is peace. Because happiness for me, taking by this word, if there's happiness, there is sadness. If something can rise, something must fall. If you can attain something, there's something to lose. That's why it's difficult. That's why I stopped a moment. I don't know what type of happiness you mean. Being satisfied with where I'm standing, yes. Does it mean that I don't have hard moments? I have hard moments. And that's why for me, what is it I ultimately look for? I would call it's just peace. We are not the body and we are not the mind. This is one of these sayings. Now, we are not the body, we are not the mind. It's not easily understandable in the society that we are living right now, where everybody actually is identified so much with the creation of this and the creation of the identity that you want to express in this world. But let's go into some type of thinking experiment. If literally what I refer to as I, if I would be my body, I would simply take the decision right now, body, just stop aging. I don't want you to age anymore. I don't want you to feel pain. I don't want my body to tell me that I'm hungry right now. Just stop the hunger. So raising this question, I feel like I cannot tell my body what to do, literally. This body somehow has his own cycle and his own intelligence that my body is going through. Okay, this is now the body. Literally, it is impossible to predict what is going to be the next thought that's going to pop up in my mind. But if I would be my mind, how come I cannot have an influence in what I am thinking next? Mind and body, both of them apparently have another own cycle of what they are following. What's the conclusion? The conclusion is that nevertheless, body and mind that we carry along this lifetime right now can be and are conditioned. They carry some type of information. Simply said, I didn't choose literally to have this nose on my face. I didn't choose my eye color. I didn't choose the features that I carry in this lifetime right now. So there is information that is being transferred from generations in the past that in a way represent themselves right now in the body that we carry. You might call it is embedded in the DNA, or it is embedded in any type of biological or physical information. If this is staying true right now for the body, could it also be that everything that pops up in our mind also carries some information that has been passed on prior for us being even conscious about it? And the answer for me is definitely, I do think it is like this, that modern science, if people relate to this more, for example, opens the field of epigenetics. And taking all of this into consideration right now still means, okay, but what literally is then the I? If I am not the body, if I'm not the mind, what is the I? And this is the essential question that Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and many mystic cultures are trying to figure out. This is where when you go on YouTube and you just put in who am I, what am I, where do I come from, you find plenty of that stuff. Okay. It's a very, very interesting question, because this answer of what is it that you are identifying yourself with also gives you the answer, how do I reduce the suffering of this lifetime? That is essentially what all of this is about. How so? If I could live a life full of pleasure, full of enjoyable moments, no pain, no suffering, I would wish for eternal life for sure, because it is the greatest thing that actually can happen to you. You're spending this life on earth and the only thing that you have is a pleasant life. What more do you want? But the reality is not like that. The reality is we have pleasant moments, we have joyful moments, we have healthy moments, we have enriching moments, but at the same time we're also facing something where we could absolutely live without it if we would have the choice. The fact of losing people, the fact of being betrayed, betrayed, being judged, being insulted, being discriminated, being hurt. Many ways that do not feel pleasant. And there is the question, isn't there a way how to find a proper perspective upon life to understand what is it that I am embedded in order to still try my best and reduce the amount of unpleasant or suffering? This is the whole idea about it. Also meaning, if somebody is watching this episode and he's just happy, he has a perfect life, he is happy, there is nothing he's asking for, he's simply fulfilled, there is really no reason to continue listening to this conversation. But I do think that either it hasn't been like this all the time, that person first of all went through some type of development or process, or the winning streak is going to